All right, everybody, away we go. Welcome to the sales training call. Today it is the TRC sales training call, Friday, January 12th of 2018. And I'm excited to do this. There are a couple of things that I want to get to today. Most importantly, we have evolved some of this expired follow-up scripting because we've been very intensely following up with my new inside sales agent extraordinaire from the Philippines, David. And I know that Chris Kleba and his team, Josh, have been out there, and a lot of you have been out there trying to have these conversations that are intelligent and allow you to build relationship. But I do always like to start this by saying, look, I have been paying close attention to a lot of sales conversion conversation that goes on online. And I can't help but tell you, I see a very, very regular theme of those people that are sustaining their business, being patient for the process and not assuming that just immediately and quickly can they get out there and convert. Again, you're just not going to meet somebody over the phone just because they opted in and then suddenly and miraculously they're going to be easy to convert. Now, Paul Mihalowicz and I were talking about this the other day with his team. You do have to know how to close if the close is there. And that doesn't matter whether it's the first call, subsequent follow-ups. There is always that ability to close somebody who's in need and they're floundering on the other end. But it's this crazy difficult balance for you individually to know when to push and when not to push. So I want to make it very clear today that that's an art form that just develops over time. But I think it develops out of pragmatic approach, meaning you actually make some phone calls. To make as many phone calls as you can and get used to real situations on the other side is the only and best training that you can go forward with. So as we get into this today, I'm going to start with Chris and Josh. If you guys are out there, when I open up the microphones, you can kick us off. But I think it's very important to say there is a balance between theoretical, strategic discussion and then pragmatic. What happens when you take that plan over into the field? If you think about the military, they actually train for so many different things to go wrong that their contingency plans are many, many deep. So I think that's a good practice here where we have that beat that we get in there expecting, let's follow this because it's best practices. However, we know that something or somebody is going to throw us off track. Okay, let me open up the microphones. And remember, this is a live call. So if you're in the group in the inside here, you want to *6, that will mute your mic or just hit mute so we can't hear your background. But I'd rather you stayed active in the call. I like interaction here. Okay, so here we go. So Chris Kleba, you there? I know Josh, I saw you come in early on. Is that you, bud?
Yeah, Kleba's here.
Okay, buddy. So why don't you go right after this because you had asked for some specific help. Give everybody context so when we start here, there's a clue as to where we are.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer that question to Josh.
Okay.
Because he feels like he's kind of floundering and struggling. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Yeah, whomever. That's even better. Josh, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, guys.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Oh, I'm here. I'm doing good, Danny. How are you?
Awesome, pal. Awesome. So go ahead and let me know.
So I've just kind of dived into Vulcan 7 and I told Chris, man, I'll be honest with you. It's been, like, I'm a guy who I like to be very, very prepared. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, buddy. Yeah. Just when people come in, it's a little clicky.
I got a bad echo.
Yeah, bud.
I like to be very prepared, like when I go in and I make these calls, and I know it's just kind of, it's a process. You're going to get used to things, and you're going to be able to start pivoting one way or another based off of, feedback from the other end, the client. We made 5 or 6 calls, and really I would make more, but I don't have the information to send out yet.
Hey, buddy. Hey, Josh. Hey, Josh, hang on. Josh. Hey, Josh. Josh. Can he hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hey, Josh. I think it's your phone number, phone line. I think you have a really bad phone line. Do you have me on speaker or something like that?
No, I took you off.
There you go. All right, way better. Say that again because I want everybody to hear it, okay? So let's hit it again because I think what you're describing is a challenge that most people have. So go ahead, hit me again.
Yeah, so basically, I know you have to dive right in, obviously, to really find your particular way of how you pivot on a call and this and that. And I went back and I listened to all of your calls with Charlene, with Chris, and, you know, it's great. I felt it wasn't necessarily, you know, I mean, they were on the phone for you forever. And I know a lot of my experiences, you know, clients are like, I want to hear what you have to say and get off this call. So,
yeah, right.
And that's just with the experience that I've had. So I guess what I'm looking for is, you know, I want to know exactly how to pivot, you know, on a call when I get, I guess, a rebuttal back from the client that I'm calling. And then the end-all goal is obviously to get an appointment, but I feel like it's very rare that you get an appointment on the first call.
Yeah.
You know, they're receiving this information, and this is my experience, my opinion. I don't necessarily know if some people may close them on the first call, and I'd love to know how to do that. But
Sure.
I feel like with the calls that I've been making, Danny, it's been the information's coming. You're going to receive it in 20 to 48 hours. I'd love to follow up with you and kind of go through this because I know you're going to have questions once you receive this material. Let's set a time on the calendar.
Yes.
You know, and I'll get back in touch with you and we can go through this.
Yeah, well, it's a super question, and it ties two things together here that I think are important. Yesterday on the mastermind, what I was trying to impress upon the mastermind members, and it would be the same for anybody, is that when you're building relationship, there are multiple media through which you can express why they should listen to you. Right? It's the concept of the unique selling proposition in a world that's noisy. We're trying to express to the public, look, we're passionate. We believe that you expired and we have a plan that can help you. And their attitude is, well, what makes you any different? Why are you different from all the other people? Because, you know, again, we all make decisions based on perception. And unless you deep dive into some subset of the world, you can only imagine or have a perception on how things work. So people are going to layer upon us, Josh, how they believe the real estate agent business works based on their very limited experience with it. Right? In spite of the fact that many consumers are going to say, well, I've sold 8 houses and I know. Well, you don't know. That's really not that many over the course of a lifetime, even though it would be a lot on the consumer side. So I think we have to just grab the bull by the horns and say, look, this isn't an industry we're involved in every day. This is to ourselves first before this ever even hits the road. We have to believe that we have a plan. And my role in your life is to try to give you some ground, well, I guess some fundamental things to hang on to that are universally part of what a real estate agent does. And a real estate agent on the listing side is tasked with coming in with a plan. I mean, the biggest problem that most small business people have is they lack a clear, concise plan that is followed methodically. If you look at some of the best entrepreneurs out there, they are methodical to the point where they get accused often of being antisocial OCD types. Right? But there's a lot to be learned from that. I mean, we shouldn't castigate that attitude. We should embrace it and say, if I can bring in a simple 7-step plan for this seller, and even though it's universal, and but Danny, doesn't every realtor do it? Yeah, sure. Because universally speaking, if there's a successful sale, whether we are consciously doing it or unconsciously doing it, not subconsciously, unconscious, right? Are we sort of just falling forward and this thing is happening? The answer is yes. So I think what we want to extract out of that and be prepared for any type of rebuttal is that we feel strongly that we know how to put the right universal information in the right order. Therefore, we are better prepared with the same plan that anybody could have, but we're better prepared when something goes awry to handle it. See, that's what this is.
Right.
If I bring you as the seller a 7-step plan that's clear, something will go wrong, including me. I will make a mistake, right? You will make a mistake. But we can all jump back to the plan and say, okay, so here's the mistake. You made it, Mr. Seller. I made it, Mr. Seller. Whatever the case is. So now you have to know that plan at least, hang on one sec, at least well enough so that when you get on the phone, you're going to make a quick introduction to that and then let them talk and see where they take you. Go ahead. You wanted to say something because my next move is to read you what we've come up with. Go ahead.
sure. So I actually went back and I listened to a couple of times the call that you had with Charlene, and Charlene came back with what makes you different. If you remember that conversation,
I do.
guys, or the phone call you had, role play. So and I was listening to your response, and it was great. It was just not a. It's. I'm unfamiliar with some of those things that you bring to the table,
Sure.
like the you had something about oh God, what was it? Your click marketing and things like that.
Oh, push. Yeah, okay, good. See all right, good. So hold on to this, because let's go back and do it again with you. Because it's like conditioning. It's like the gym. We can't get on the treadmill one day and expect to be conditioned. So come back at me with the scenario that you want. And I'm gonna act, hey guys, *6 on the mic if you've got a loud background. Guys? Hang on. Sorry, buddy. Okay, guys, just remember, you *6 your mic if you're on the internal side of this call. That will keep it quiet in the background. Okay, so you give me the scenario, and I'm going to actually slow it down and be methodical because I have this up on the screen. This is what this group has developed over the last several weeks, a formula in that very initial setup, because that's going to set you up to be able to more easily handle what you said is correct. They just kind of want to give you one beat, and then they're going to dump you or not, right? Is that what you're kind of saying to me, or exactly saying to me? Is that fair?
Sure.
All right, good.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree, yes.
Okay, good. So here we go. You come at me, and we'll do this artificially slow. That's what I want to do, okay? So there you go. Give me you're calling me, or I'm calling you, whatever you like. What would you like?
Yeah, you call me.
Okay. You got it.
Because I'd like to hear your response when I come back and say what makes you different. I'd like to know, and we can address that when we're done. But
sure. Awesome. So here we go. Now remember, I know, and you all know from being part of this group, that it's very likely that that's going to be, well, you're all the same. It's even harsher than what makes you different, right? You're all the same. You can't get it done. They're more frustrated and mad at this moment in time than anything else. So here we go. And again, remember, I'm doing this artificially slowly, and then we'll speed it up as we go along. Okay. So, hi, Josh. This is Danny Griffin calling from the Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because we saw that your property expired from the MLS. And I just want to let you know that I sent you my 7-step listing plan in the mail. While I have you, how come it didn't? While I have you, Josh, how come it didn't sell?
Well, honestly, Danny, I'm not exactly sure. I thought we had a really good realtor, and he told me that we were going to get multiple offers on the property, and honestly, we got a few offers, but not at the same time. And of course, nothing ever came to fruition with those particular offers. We countered, and they never came up. So.
Wow. You actually got, Josh, all the way to step number 6 in my plan. So that's really interesting. So your tweak that you might need might be very slight. So when you get this plan, what you'll see is we review a pricing at right range, because the right asking price really can make a better market for the property. And obviously we would review condition and staging to help you move up that ladder. And then when it comes to marketing, there's 2 beats to it. One is syndication that just puts it out to the through MLS everywhere. But then we get on top of it with our push marketing, kind of shove it around and make sure things happen. That would have gotten us to that feedback or communication stage, and then negotiation. So you actually got there. But negotiation, Josh, is always predicated on that pricing range that we start with. So tell me a little bit about that. When you got the offer, how far apart were you? What broke down in negotiation? Was it a pricing problem? Did the buyer have a challenge that couldn't get solved? What was it?
Yeah, so basically they were too far off with the price. And really that's as far as we got. We countered back, and they didn't want to come up, and really that's all I really remember, as far as what the listing agent told me. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. That's the tough part, right? Communication, as I said, is really important. It's got to be very transparent at that point in time. But I'll ask another question, because part of our strategy is to actually take the analysis we start with, and when you're making a market for a property on behalf of your seller, you have to be proactive in supplying the data that makes the case at the price you wanted. Do you know if that was done or not during negotiation?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, the communication between my realtor and myself was a little lackluster. I mean, I would like to have been notified a little bit more. We had showings, and I wasn't aware, and it was just, really a bad communication.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate, but the good news for you, here's the silver lining here, is that I think just a slight tweak in communication and better preparedness for negotiation, which are obviously critical steps, Josh, right? They're critical. When you get the booklet, you're going to see how they meld into each other. But what I'd be happy to do is give you a second opinion on the whole process when you get that. I don't know if you're interviewing agents right now, or you're looking to relist the property sooner than later, but I'll tell you what, while it's fresh in your mind, I'm happy to make a no pressure, free, no obligation visit to the house and take a look at it. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I would want to talk to my wife.
Sure.
It's just been a nightmare for us, and it's been on the market several times. We had multiple agents, and I'll be honest with you, we're at a point now where we don't know if we're going to sell or not. We're considering that, so I'll have to get back with you.
You bet. Just while I have you, obviously we want all decision makers there anyway, if we can get there, so the education is for both you and your wife. But let me just reconnect you to why you did this in the beginning. What was your plan? Are you staying locally, or are you trying to move out of the area?
Yeah, we were looking to downsize. We came across a property that we really liked in the beginning, and we were ready to make an offer on that property, and our agent told us we had to list this one, and basically the property never sold, so we missed out on a home that we really, really wanted. So it's just been, a nightmare for us.
Yeah, that's a drag. And I'll tell you again, I think your situation is quite solvable. But again, the more I listen to you, Josh, the more I'm hearing that the challenge is negotiation. When it comes to negotiation, that's the point we have to be prepared to put all these moving parts together. And it rolls over into closing, but we've done multiple simultaneous closes. So that's not a problem for us. And again, I would hate to see you and your wife disheartened. If you want to make that move, don't be disheartened. You're closer than it feels, Josh. I hear and feel your pain, but you're much closer than you think you are. You just need a little bit more strength when the wind is blowing during negotiation. So why don't you do this? I know you don't know me. So my information is coming in the mail. You'll see the 7 steps laid out very clearly the way I'm discussing it. Have a beat, take a look at those. And what I'll also do in the meantime is I'm going to take a look at what sold around you while you were on the market and it didn't happen, to tighten up my understanding of the exact hyper-local marketplace that you were up against. I mean, obviously I know it like the back of my hand, but everything is always fluid. So let's see what you lost out to. And as a matter of fact, the people that made the offer, did you ever get verification whether they were real and whether or not they actually bought? Because you might have had some people in there that were flirting around the edges of trying to steal the house, and nobody likes that to happen. Did you ever confirm whether they did something or not?
No, actually, I never did, no.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Again, you can see the holes. I'm not trying to, badger the other agent's opportunity or what they did for you. I'd rather just say, look, wait for the plan to come. We mailed it. Should be there in the next 24, 48 hours. What I'll do is follow up, and we'll see if we can't book a time for me to go over it with you and your wife. Would that be okay?
That would be fine, yes.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Blah, blah, blah. We book the date, right? So now let's go back here. And you see, there was one pivotal moment early on that we discovered by doing these calls, okay? It's very pivotal, and it's subtle. When I went through the beats, hey, this is who I am. This is where I'm calling from. The reason I'm calling is because we saw that this happened. That's context, right? Why am I interrupting your life at that moment in time? I'm giving you context. And that's the point at which I think you have that opportunity to introduce yourself correctly. I think a lot of people pause there. They get lost there. Hey, is this Josh? Yeah, who's this? Right? Don't give them that opportunity. It's a fluid moment. Hey, Josh, this is Danny Griffin calling from the Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because is a very powerful trigger word. Okay. It does something in the brain to get somebody to listen in, because in one certain way, it's personalizing the conversation. This is who I am. Here's where I'm from. And I'm here because. That's kind of a lean in moment. I'm not saying consciously, but subconsciously, everybody wants to know what's in it for them. So as soon as you say because, now you come in there and you say, it's because I saw that this happened. Then there might be, in this context, a deflation. Ugh, not another realtor calling me about my expired listing. You're like the 17th guy, right? That's a real negative response. Say, well, look, I'm not here to, bother you. I just want to give you a heads up that I sent you my 7 steps to success when it comes to listing. It's a guide, and it's on the way in the mail. That's all I'm calling you to tell you. So I can also diffuse it. If they elevate their frustration and they want to take it out on me, that's okay. Let them vent. But say, look, I'm not here to promise you I have a buyer. I'm not here. I know all the objections. You're going to say, how come I didn't show it? I'm sending you something that shows you how any property, anytime, anywhere gets sold correctly by following these simple 7 steps. Now, they're simple to understand, but it's more complex to implement. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So that's the point.
So when you're talking like push marketing and all of this stuff that you do differently, explain that to me, because I know where I would go when I say why I'm different, and it's different than what you would say.
Where would you go? Where would you go?
It's because I don't know what these things.
Josh,
this push marketing that you do.
Watch this, Josh. Stop saying that you do. You actually already do it. Okay? Lean in now. You all actually do it. If you think that I'm actually saying something wildly unique based on my 20 years of experience of doing this, you'd be wrong. Because what I'm doing is I'm helping the client understand the obvious. Now, you might have a difficult time competing against me because of my level and my depth of understanding. But the first thing I'm articulating to them, now you're taking me into one level of the pinwheel. Okay, so let's talk about the process, the steps. Number 1 step is pricing it right. Now, if you want to move up that pricing it ladder, I'm going to teach you how to do the low to no cost reconditioning that is required of anybody who's going to get off their couch and decide to sell. Low to no cost stuff first. And if there's big deferred items, we're going to get our team of professionals to come to you and price them out so you don't get beaten up on those, because every buyer is going to overestimate. For the most part, I'll be careful in an absolute statement, they're going to overestimate the cost of upgrade. So that's part of conditioning. Now, we're going to move your furniture around and show you what to get rid of so the house is not too cluttered. Or at the extreme of being positive and aggressive, we're going to introduce you to a stager who will come and do that for you. Now, that sets me up to be able to take marketing on. See, everybody wants to go, well, how are you going to market my house? And all realtors get sucked into that conversation first. And we'll say, look, whoa, before we get there, there's 3 steps that actually come before marketing. Because if you want me to do it correctly with you, I want to talk about where are we at in its immediate current condition, how to recondition it, how to stage it. Because now I bring in the army. In comes the professional photographer who's going to take the pictures, and they have one chance, one moment in time to memorialize this product. That's what we do in marketing a house. We memorialize that moment in time, and the condition is captured. The day, the blue sky or not, it's all captured. The floor plans, everything is done that day. So preparation for that day is everything. Now, once I have that digital footprint, what does every realtor who's a part of an MLS do first, Josh? What do?
They list it.
Where? Tell me where they list it. State the obvious. No trick question here.
On MLS.
On MLS, which is the equivalent of NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. Our product is a digitized version with a description of that product. We bring it into the marketplace called multiple listing service, where all sorts of agents and brokers are interacting, trying to what? Make a market for that property. That's exactly the way the mechanism starts. The clues are everywhere in the finance business, but we don't think about this. We don't explain that's what we actually do. So if you want me to first tell you why I'm unique, I care about how we arrive at that moment where we digitize your property. I'm not going to take it on my cell phone and pass that off as digital photography that's at the high end. So there's the first step in marketing that makes me unique, even though we're all doing this. I'm considering that moment when it gets digitized. It's the level of professionalism that I'm taking. I'm not the only one, but that at least gets me into the top 10, 20%. Next, now the way the marketplace works is once it's in MLS, what's the first thing it does in the internet age? Think, where does it go from there?
Zillow, Trulia.
What's that called?
Realty.com.
How does that happen? The mechanism for that is the first type of marketing. What is the name of it? Anybody can help them out. What's the name? What does it do? Anybody?
Syndication.
Thank you. It's called syndication. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who's with good. I want to hear you all say it aloud to yourselves or here, because you have to state that. I did all this work to put it into my marketplace, so when it goes back out to the internet through syndication, that's called syndication marketing. It is the main factor that's different in the pre-digital age versus the digital age. It goes out to everywhere. All the bigs that they think of. Well, is it on Zillow? Is it on True? Yes. Syndication, as long as I've checked the box and say it's okay to share this listing with the world, not only does it go there, it goes everywhere. So, Josh, stay with me. Everybody lean in on this one. So, now we know it just became a fly speck in the digital internet sphere, right? It just went and became this tiny little piece of information. Now, whether or not the marketplace, which is now expanded outside of MLS, not just in it, now all of a sudden everybody sees it and they like it or they don't. So what do you have to do? That's one step above that you all already do, that I refer to as push marketing. Push means I'm going to give it a push, not just syndication. Syndication is sitting on your butt waiting for marketplace to be efficient, which happens if it's priced right. But what do you do in addition to that? What do you do? What do you do? Come on, Josh. What do you do, brother?
Oh, you're asking me.
Yeah, man. What do you do? Tell me.
I mean, I put it on social media as well.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
I put it on LakeNormanRealtors.com. I do all of that.
Okay, but you get off your butt and you go do an open house. You get off your butt and you do whatever it takes. That's called a push, right? No rocket science. This language about push marketing is not. I'm creating a new set of languages for this business so that I can demonstrate what I believe is unique to me. I don't know. I don't care what everybody else does. I don't fret that. I say 2 beats to marketing.
Sure.
1, I fret how it arrives at that digital footprint so that syndication is the best it can be. 2nd, I'm going to get off my butt and I'm going to promote through social open houses. I'm going to go out there and do whatever it takes, right? Broker tours that not everybody does. Whatever you do to push this thing around the neighborhood. Do you drop postcards just listed? That is all a form of push marketing that is beyond syndication. So everybody that's part of MLS fogs the mirror with at least that first step of syndication marketing, right? Everybody. But we've already arrived at that by saying, look, I don't just take pictures on my cell phone. I spend the money, the time, the effort to care about your reconditioning, your staging, so that when somebody shows up to click, I even yell at the company if they come on a rainy day. Do not come to my listing on a rainy day. Catch me on a sunny day. This is the time I want you, right? So I think we have to state this very clearly and be as passionate as I'm acting now. Because while I'm doing this on a sales training call, I'm trying to root this inside of you. Will you guys and gals just master the darn obvious and tell the consumer what you're doing? And by the way, if you're not doing it, then you are falling back towards mediocre. That's what you're doing, right? Now, you might be fretting, well, I can't afford this or that. Look at Tony Legendry was on the call the other day, and what he was doing was saying, look, beyond just this, what I'm doing is I'm going in there and looking at solutions. Matterport cameras are $5,000, $2,000, whatever they are these days, and those 3D tours are expensive. So I went over to iMovie or whatever it's called, Emo Viewer, something like that, and he found a cheaper solution. That's push marketing. He's trying to find how can he compete at the highest level for a budget that makes it, right? So, Kerrigan says, isn't everybody doing open houses and YouTube and social media? No, of course they're not. You're no way, not even close. We have become extremely lazy and not resourceful. We're not looking at these ways to do this. Look, I am the owner of a company. I am the owner of two companies, the Realty Classroom and the Griffin Realty Group. I am going into a house tomorrow from 10:30 to 12 o'clock to do an open house because it's a push marketing opportunity. By the way, through both syndication and push. Number one is we can put it out, through MLS, which will notify all these companies like Zillow and Realtor who are rabid for new information. And they're going to tell everybody on their app, open house, open house. Those companies have become more of an app for open houses probably than much of anything else. Right? So I'm going to use that platform. I'm going to give them my open house information for free. But I'm also going to go over and notify, other than that, I can push it around on social. I can live broadcast from the house to let people know I'm there. Those are all things that you should all be explaining to the seller that you're doing to push this. Hey, the market's pretty good if you follow my plan, and I'll be showing it with a lot of co-agents, right? But I'm going to get off my butt, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a series of open houses. I'm going to do a series of pushing around on my own social page. I'm going to make some noise for you. You got it?
Yes.
You already do it.
You hear me?
Yeah, man. You already do this stuff. So all I'm doing is giving you the language to say that. Now let's go back to the script, and you give me objections, okay? Because the script is only an introductory script to get you talking. And it was so hard, even in training, where you wanted to give me an objection. Because we've done so much learning here, it was very hard for you to go right into an objection. Because I said, why do you think it didn't sell?
It was. I was waiting to object.
Yep.
And you just, you kept saying all the right things, and I don't know. I had objections ready for you, and I didn't get them out.
I'll tell you why. Because what we learned by listening, and I'll play a real call next. What we learned is that this is great theoretical training, but then we've got to take it like, I remember when they went looking for bin Laden. And I remember watching something about them talking about they had a plan going in. Kerrigan, you'll appreciate this, right? All my Marines and all my guys and gals that gave service to this country, you'll appreciate the plans, but then you'll appreciate more so after the initial plan. If it goes down smoothly, wonderful. But you and I, Josh, and everybody else knows better. It never goes according to the exact theoretical plan. So what do we have? We have contingency plans where we know it's going to go wild. So what we did to soften the wildness of the contingency, it's still coming. We thought about, after I make these beats, hey, Josh, it's Danny Griffin from the Griffin Realty Group. Introduction, context. The reason I'm calling is because, pivotal word, trigger, lean in, what's in it for me? I saw the property expired. Oh, not another one of you. And I just wanted to let you know I did something different. I sent you my 7 steps to home seller success. It's my guide. By the way, while I have you, how come it didn't sell? Why do you think it didn't sell? Right? Now I've gotten it in quickly. I didn't need to take a beat. And then I'm into provoking them to vent. I want you to vent. I can handle it. Please vent on me. Why didn't it sell? And you did just that. You went off on all these things that most likely are not theoretical that you've heard. You've heard people go off on the real estate industry, the process, whatever. It's venting. So the question was provocative to allow them to vent. I want to know what you think. I don't need to pound you over the head with what I know. It's the wrong time. We don't have that relationship. At some point, you will like me. You will begin to trust me, and then I can begin to teach you. But to come right over and say all this other stuff. Now, I'm going to take a wild left turn for a second for all my folks in Michigan, my buddy Paul Mihalowicz. He makes a good point. When that's going on, and I don't know whether Lisa Bibby is on the phone. When that's going on, I think the biggest challenge is you better remember why you're there. Now, I heard you give me a closing opportunity for an appointment because you weren't saying no and you were disenchanted. And there's something I did very intentionally there again. What I did was I told you, please reconnect to why you're moving again. Why did you do this? And you gave me a because why it was important to you. And I said, well, don't get disheartened. You're closer than you think. Don't give up. You're so close. You just need a slight tweak. I gave you hope, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I believe it. Yeah.
Danny, it's Lisa. I'm on the phone.
Hey, Lisa, go ahead. So now when you were listening to that, with Paul teaching you the other day how to close, you had some success, didn't you?
Yeah, and I've been calling for a while now with, I would say, very low to mediocre success.
Yep.
But there's a couple things that I just shifted, and it seems like every month I'm noticing bigger and bigger shifts in what to change. So
Right.
I've kind of narrowed it down to, there's a few things that have to be there. But the one thing that I noticed that I changed this last week was really being more powerful when I was closing and not asking, hey, when do you have time next week to set up an appointment? I'd like to meet with you. It was, I can meet you tomorrow at
Yes.
4 or Friday at 5.
Yes.
What's good for you? You're not taking no for an answer. You're being way more direct, more powerful, and just setting the appointment, assuming that they already want to meet with you.
Well, you know what it is? It's a logic hammer. Lisa, it's a logic hammer. If they give you signs that they're not saying a hard no, and you're confident in what you have to offer and your solution, that's why I started the call by saying you've got to be confident. So I think what you have to do there is say, look, I'll come over Friday. Is that a good day? Because while this is hot, while we're talking about this, it's so much better if I can see what I'm talking about, then I can be more specific. It's that internal and then it comes out, right? You're right. It's not nebulous. Here's why. People are silently begging to be led. It's a very true statement. The first time I ever heard it, I don't know if I really felt it. Now I do. They're silently begging to be led by an expert in the context that matters. He still wanted to sell his house, right? I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh,
well,
I'm not."
I think that brings up.
Yeah, go ahead.
That brings up a really valid point. One of the things that I've narrowed down what makes a successful prospecting call is understanding the pauses that happen.
Yeah.
And from the other person. And you have to know the difference between if you're asking them a question and pausing and waiting for them to answer, or whether it's one of those uncomfortable pauses where they're really trying to lean in to see if you're going to take control of that
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I absolutely. And again, it's about reading and listening to the other side, you know. Leslie, I'm going to come to you next. I don't know if you're in the call too, as well as online, but I see your questions popping up on the Facebook chat. So I want to say this. You're right. In the beginning, though, I don't want to hear a lot of pausing when David's doing these or Laura's doing these or I'm doing these. I don't want to hear a lot of pausing. We have a very, very small window because that's the moment you interrupt, and you better get your context across as professionally as you can. Not obnoxious. I'm not down with all this obnoxious stuff. It's, hey, this is who I am from here. This is why I'm calling, and I sent you this. Boom. By the way, why didn't it go
Right.
down? What didn't happen? Now it goes a little bit more in any direction they want to take you. If there's a weird pause there or they cut you off, say, whoa, wait, just want to let you know. Don't hang up on me. Just want to let you know this thing is coming. I think it's helpful. You know, unless you decided not to sell. Are you not going to sell? Right? So the next thing would be, if you say, why do you think it didn't sell? Well, I took it off intentionally. Oh, the next question is what? Did your plans change? Right? It's the logic of the moment. I think we're always trying to be so scripted. If we listen, you do have to be scripted in the beginning. And I'm going to repeat that. Don't call up and say, hi, is Sally there? And then this big pregnant pause. Why? You're a business person. Lean in. This is who I am. This is what I got. This is why you need it. What happened? Okay? I want to help you. It's like, and so Leslie is saying, to play off of this, Leslie is saying in here, I think that level of forthrightness is challenging for me as a woman. I'm going to stop with that chunk right there, and I'm going to tell you why I'm stopping. I just had the same conversation with Sue Dropo at our office today. And it's this sense that doing that, there's something wrong with it. And then she goes a little bit further. It goes against my my deep training. I don't know what that means, Leslie. It goes against your deep training. I don't know what that means. Maybe you mean life has deep trained you that as a woman, you're not supposed to lead? Could be. I don't know. I'm happy to, if you're on, in the phone call, I'll deal with it. But triggers in me the feeling of being a leader and a problem solver. Amen. Like, that's the thing. Look, life is going by. And the world needs leadership, and it needs us to absolutely, going in there. Oh, I guess she says, Catholic women are never trained to impose. Ooh, very interesting as a kid who grew up that way. Very, very interesting. These deep-seated self-image beliefs are the way that you see the world, but it is time to break free of all of that, whether you're a guy or a gal, no matter where you grew up. The world needs professional people to step through and help. And we have to make some noise to do that. We were talking about that yesterday. You have to make some noise and let the world know, I am here to help, and this is what it is. That's why you see so many people giving away or eavesdropping. I'm doing it right now for the Realty Classroom. I'm giving away an eavesdrop because I am adamant about helping people. And I'm not going to let my life go by and say, we came up with some good stuff. We don't want to share it? Huh? No. You got to get in there and do that. All right, Lisa, I didn't want to steamroll you there. Was there anything you wanted to add that you could share with people? So other than being more direct, what else is it that you noticed was a little bit off?
Well, I would say, like I said, I narrowed it down to a few things. Number one, you've got to have a script. I don't care whose script it is, but you've got to practice that and really make it your own. And another thing is your tone, how you're saying it. You can have two different people saying exactly the same thing.
Right.
And if you don't stress the tone correctly, it can come off where somebody hangs up on you versus somebody's booking an appointment with you. So that's really important. Again, the pauses, like I talked about, your confidence level. They're looking to you to help guide them through this process and sell their home. If you can't stand up and show them how strong you can be and show them that you are in charge of this, why are they going to want to list your home with you?
Absolutely.
They're entrusting you to sell their house.
Hold on. Now let's go deeper. This is one of the largest financial transactions, if not the largest, most people are ever going to make in a lifetime. And you think they want some shrinking violet? Especially if they've already tried it because their perception is, well, I'll go with my friend, or I'll go with this one because, and they don't know well enough. They're undereducated as to how difficult this is, and they're not connected. They know they feel stress, but they don't really know why. It's the largest financial and subsequently emotional, because of that, transaction most people will make. What do you think they're looking for? A leader. Show me the way. Give me the best chance. And even then, it's a battle. I have a lot of battles with my sellers. They don't want to hear me, right? And then they want to make up excuses why I'm not doing what I'm doing. No, not correct. Sure, I make mistakes, but they've got to be led, and I don't care how high D they are. You need to listen, or you're not going to sell your house, right? But you better be confident as the agent that you're the one. All right, let's take this a little bit further, and I want to bring it over to, all right, and by the way, I'm going to disagree slightly with I don't care whose script it is. I do believe that no matter whose script it is, it better have that proper introduction. I think when you're on the phone especially. Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that the script wasn't important.
Yeah.
I think the script is hugely important.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have enough experience in this game to say, I think you should use this person's script versus this one. And I think there's really good aspects from a lot of different people that you may or may not be able to piece together and kind of come up with your own based on what works.
Okay, well, hold on. My job here and my endeavor at the Realty Classroom is to not get caught up in what I think. It's to go in search of universally how to help myself and subsequently all of you. I do believe that universally, yes, I do have a script I will share with you. I'm staring at it because you're all helping create it every week with real calls. I think you have very important pieces to hit that are universal, and I don't care where you are or who writes it. You better tell them who you are right off the bat. This is who I am. The next thing you got to do is, this is why I'm interrupting you. And third, this is what I have for you. I just don't think there's any way around that introduction. Let's call it, because we called it that. We called it an intro script. That's what it is when all of you members who are in the membership site will see it on the Campfire, Griffin, or Mastermind. I'm going to put this up there. I already did, but I'll put it again after the call so it's fresh. I think, Lisa, you have to hit those beats. I have heard and seen far too many pauses and stutterings at that moment that have absolutely cost people an opportunity to get further, right? So I'll just leave that piece at that, right? I think that's really critical. And you all have helped develop that. So again, hi, this is Danny Griffin calling from the Griffin Realty Group. Beat number 1. And this is all in one sentence, really, with a couple of short breaths. The reason I'm calling is because we saw that your property expired on the MLS. And I just want to let you know, number 3, that I sent you my listing plan. Okay? So here's who I am, here's why I'm calling, and here's what I have for you. Now, you might say, I don't want it, I don't need it, whatever. But the next thing out of my mouth is, how come you think it didn't sell? Well, I took it off intentionally. Oh, really? Your plans changed? Now I'm conversational. But it's still, I know the outcomes. The more that I do this and I'm conditioned, I know and I can anticipate what they're going to say next. We know that. We listen to these calls. Oh, I'm all set. Oh, really? Did your plans change? You're not going to sell it again? Right? I mean, you just go logically into the next, but those first 3 beats are, I think, Josh, that's why you had trouble coming back at me with objections. I hit my 3 beats and I let you vent by asking you, why do you think it didn't sell? Got it?
All right, so I say, you say, did your plans change? And I say, yes, my plans changed. Thanks.
Oh, you're going to stay?
And I'm real short with you, then what?
Yeah. So what was the original reason for selling?
Well, I had an offer in on another house, but my house never sold, so we're just frustrated with everything. We didn't get the house we wanted. We're not looking to sell anymore. Thank you.
Sure. I don't blame you, but there's a lot of houses out there. Was there anything that was super unique about that one that we couldn't find you another?
Yeah, it was actually in the neighborhood we wanted to be in next to my sister-in-law, and really we're only focusing in that neighborhood, and nothing's available at the moment, so I think we're good.
Yeah, perfect. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let me ask you a question. If a good house came up in that neighborhood again, would you want to buy it if it could get sold? Your house could get sold?
If it's a ranch, yes. And really, I think there's only like 1 or 2 available in there that are ranch-style properties, so...
Did anybody?
I think it would be hard for something to come that we would like.
Yeah. Did anybody pick up the phone and try to call the other ranches for you, see if they were interested in selling? Because we'd be happy to do that.
No, they didn't.
Okay. We're happy to do that because what I think is you're close. And unfortunately, that's a very common occurrence, by the way, when you're trying to sell your house and you have another one and you can't, everybody thinks it's going to be easier than it is to sell the house. I know what can fix that. What I sent you in the mail. It's a very clear adherence to a plan. I could review that with you and see where it was tweaked a little bit. And I know you told me a little bit about, that the negotiation broke down. But truth be told, it would have been easy enough to tie that house up on the front ends and put it all together. We do it all the time. I know that sounds like, something that it can't happen, but it's actually a common occurrence when you're following a plan. It can fall apart pretty easily without a plan. So I get it. But I wouldn't be crestfallen and I wouldn't give up.
Okay, yeah, if those ranch properties come available, then yeah, we'd be interested. But we're not looking for a 2-story property right now in that neighborhood.
Perfect, no sweat. I get it, and let me get specific on that neighborhood because I'd like to go back in there. You'd be surprised. There are other expired listings too, oftentimes that didn't sell that might have fit that bill. So I just want to go back, do a little bit of research, see if there was anybody there, what other criteria there may be. So as long as you're open to it, I mean, we're happy to do that. So tell me again a little bit about that neighborhood. Is specifically, it's where again?
It's in Cornelius, no HOA, which I really love. And,
yeah.
You're talking at least an acre lot, which is very hard to find. And we don't want to be anywhere other than Cornelius. And I know just from experience and I'm born and raised here that this is the only neighborhood that has no HOA with an acre plus lot.
Perfect. Well, we love a challenge, so let me do this. Let me just verify that I have your best email address and your best phone number, which I'm calling you on now. I want to make sure this is the best one because we're going to do a little groundwork there and sniff it out. But in the meantime, what's going to happen is my strategic plan is going to come to you. Now, those are the 7 foundational pieces. You take a look at that, and it might enlighten you a little bit more as to what might have gone awry and why this didn't happen. But I have all the confidence in the world that you could be better prepared so that when one of these ranches in that no HOA area of Cornelius comes on, you can move much more swiftly and effectively. I have all the confidence in the world. And I think when you see my plan and you see that we take some action here to try to find a property for you, you'll get it. You'll get the difference in an aggressive professional approach. So would it be okay if I followed up with you?
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah, if you can get us a ranch in that neighborhood, we're sold.
Okay, cool. It's on. So you see what I'm going, like my favorite line in Scarface, when Tony Montana is trying to agitate Elvira, and he looks at her and he says, now you're talking to me, baby. That I like. Get him talking about him and his situation. Yes, he's aggravated. Yes, he's mad. Yes, he's upset. Of course. But that's the lean in moment. I talk to you guys about this all the time. When the dog starts to bite, don't pull away, lean in, Lisa. Lean in, Josh, right? That's the moment. They want to know that you're no shrinking violet. I gave you solutions. So Leslie's asking me, can you send us a list of these redirect lines you use? Yes, we're trying to build kind of a web of the standard responses that people give us because there's not that many of them. How they say it, sure. Right? How they say it. But in the meantime, short of having that myriad way to get out there or the branched way to get out there, just think solution and confidence. It's not so much what you say, it's how you say it as much. Well, look, what's the problem? You can get a ranch? Well, how far did anybody really push? Is that the only ranch you would buy? Because if he says, yep, that was my cousin's ranch and that was the only one I'd ever buy and I'm not, maybe if he'd gone more adamantly in that direction that there was no alternative solution, sure, maybe it's legit. But our job is to solve the problem. By the way, subsequently, Josh, we're saying that to you. So what happened with the buyer that was coming to your house? Did they have a problem that nobody could solve? Yep, they couldn't get the financing. It was taking too long. Ugh, I hear that. Man, a lot of mortgage brokers these days are trying to run through this underwriting process, which is unbelievably difficult. What we've done is we've refined helping those people, including the other agent, get an opinion from a company that can really get this done on time. That's the key. So I'm looking and listening all the time for a problem that's probably relatively easy to solve. Right? But nobody's asking. Everybody's saying, see, at the root of frustration is what? A problem. There's a problem. You're problem solvers. So that's why I said to Lisa, that's where Lisa's definitely right. How to solve problems, how to deal with objections. That's where I think listening to all sorts of script teachers teach you objection handling. I think that does become a little bit more of an art form. And I say a little bit Because if you're going to see frequently asked, you know what it is, FAQs, frequently asked questions, how about frequently asked, frequently stated objections, right? Frequently FSO, right? FSOs, frequently stated objections. I can start to be prepared for those. But in the beginning, if you set it up correctly and then have a provocative question that allows them to vent, now I can hear that from you, Josh, right?
Right.
Yeah, very powerful. Take me to the outside sale, Josh, since you're in the hot seat, or anybody else who has a burning question. You guys and gals get too quiet with me. I love it that Leslie's posting here. Lisa's aggressive every week. We got Josh. I should be hearing from you all if you have a question or an objection, because what I want to do is spend the last 5-10 minutes, I'll go a little bonus time if we have to, taking this to the outside. Because now when you get in the house, I want to assume there's, you have the DNC numbers. Do you call DNC numbers? And this is always a tricky one, the do not call list, okay? My understanding when the do not call list, Leslie, came out, my spirit of that is that was to stop this randomness of solicitation that was happening, okay? That's my understanding of the way it is. You can read, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not playing a lawyer. I'm telling you my feeling, I'm not telling you what to do. But my feeling is this. If you expired in my marketplace, it didn't go right, okay? I'm only calling to let you know that I sent you something and that I'm trying to help you. I am not soliciting anything. That's where I'll stop your answer, okay? That's what I feel. That okay? Well, I don't know if it's okay. That's what we feel. And I'm here to help you. If you're going to tell me that I'm soliciting you, I'm not. I didn't ask you for anything. I said, I sent you something. I think it could help. Right? Did that help? Timmy, you just said the connection dropped. You guys good with me? Can you hear me? I'm on Skype, so I don't know if it just dropped there. We good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So there's that.
Hey, Danny, I have a quick question that's a little off topic.
Come on down. That's good.
Okay, so quick question here. So if I'm working with an investor who's not using their own money, but they're using a hard money lender,
Yes.
on the PA, how do you fill that out? Like, it's not a conventional loan. It is a loan, but what would I call that?
Nothing. It's financing. You know, I mean, again, I would look to the blanks. It's an excellent question, by the way, because alternative financing, see, we get so stuck in standards of the way it works. Nothing wrong with hard money. That's a loan. So I'm assuming it's still predicated on that loan. Now, when I use hard money to buy properties quickly. I bought a fabulous investment property within, I think 13 days using hard money and seller financing. Right? So I solved a problem quickly to get my hands on an investment property. So what I did was I just provided proof of funds. I didn't put a mortgage contingency. I'll take it as is, where is, right here, and I'll supply proof of funds. Right? That's what I said to them. So now I'm more willing to take risk as a professional in the industry buying for myself. What I would say for you representing somebody, I would still put the mortgage in there. And I would just get proof of, of pre-qualification or pre-approval by the hard money lender.
Okay, but so you would label it as seller financing?
No.
Versus it,
no.
It's not FHA?
No, it's not. It's not seller financing. I happen to tell you that in my case, I asked for some seller financing and the rest to come from hard money. So I'm saying to you, there is no difference when you're protecting your client between a conventional loan and a hard money loan. Leslie, it's actually not cash.
Right, but is that a legal thing to say that you would just put, instead of writing conventional loan, you'd put a hard money loan?
No, I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that. Private equity.
Private equity. Okay, that's perfect.
And it is not a cash offer, Leslie. I want to go to that because Leslie and Michael, thank you for weighing in on this too. Technically, here's the crazy thing about this business. Everything's actually cash, quote unquote, at the closing table, right? There's a cash transfer from a bank, from private, from, whatever, your savings account. So really what we're saying is that unless you have cash in the bank, which is a real deal, you're going to need a proof of funds letter anyway. If the seller's agent is savvy enough to say, we want proof of funds, we want a letter from your institution that states that you have enough money to consummate this transaction. By the way, when you're representing a buyer and you want to be discretionary, say it that way. Don't say, we want a copy of your bank statement. No, we'll get a letter from the manager of the bank who shows that, who shows by their letterhead that you have enough money to consummate the transaction. It's nobody's business how much money you have. You might have $2 million and you want to spend $300. It's none of your business, right? But I'll get you a financial a letter that states we're prepared to close, right? So, but you're just caught up in conventional, right? That's a term proliferated by the mortgage industry. Okay, so scrap that word. It's financing contingency. If it's 100% financing, state it, but also provide at the same time that proof of pre-approval by the hard money lender that says, I will provide 100% of the money to consummate this transaction. It's just proof that you can consummate a transaction. With the same contingency dates. By when, right? Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think you were just overthinking it a little bit. You're caught up in lingo. It's a loan. You need to protect your buyer to secure the loan to close. So if you're a buyer's representative, think that way. All right? All right.
Yes, awesome.
Cool. Good job, as usual. Josh, we good? We covered that thoroughly enough?
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, dude, you rock that. Just remember, we're stating the obvious, everybody. This is not something that's esoteric or that, don't blame me for being a veteran, that this is what I do. I do what you do first. I do what you do first. That means any veteran or rookie can be on an even playing field if we will just state the obvious. Yes, you will have some challenges against somebody like me who's much deeper prepared, but that's not going to happen that often. It's just not. Trust me, it's not. And a lot of times they don't even know somebody like me exists because you got to them first. You built relationship. You educated them. Then it's very hard for me to even get in the door no matter what I know. So remember that, all right? So bravo. Good job today. Go out and practice this stuff because you all are helping create these scripts based in reality, not some guru. And I'm not a guru. I'm you. I do what you do. I want to learn what works best, share it with you, and then we all continue to refine it. So go out there and have some sales success this weekend. I appreciate you being here today. All right? Take care.
Thank you.
You bet.